morning. Welcome to another fabulous episode of How Many Tabs Are Open on Mr. Johnson's Computer? 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 tabs on a Friday. It is Friday. Finally Friday. I hope y'all are having a good Friday so far. We're going to start off, we have kind of a two-part assignment, and then you have a quiz today. Order of operations we're still looking at order of operations. So let's review our order of operations. First step, we have to do whatever's in brackets, if there's brackets. Second step, we have to do whatever's in parentheses, if there's parentheses. Third step, we have to multiply and divide from left to right in the problem. And then the fourth step, we have to add and subtract from left to right in the problem. If we do everything in this order, we'll get the right answer. If we do things out of order, then we might get a different answer, which would not be the correct answer. Remember, expressions are problems with no equal sign. So we're looking at two expressions here because there's no equal sign. An equation is a problem with an equal sign. All right, so what we're looking at is we're looking at two different expressions. One has a grouping symbol of parentheses, so we have to do that part first. The other one does not have a grouping symbol, so we're not, so even though we're looking at the same numbers, it looks like these problems will be solved differently. All right, so using BPMA, let's go ahead and do brackets. Do we have any brackets on either one? We do not. All right, let's do the parentheses step. Put on your parentheses goggles. Do you see any parentheses? I do. Here's 3 plus 12 inside parentheses, so let's just do 3 plus 12 and then rewrite whatever else we did not use. As you can see, the parentheses disappeared because I do have a symbol, an operation symbol between my number in parentheses and my number outside parentheses. Remember, this one also could have looked like this and it would have been fine. You just would have had to remember to keep the parentheses, right? And then that would be 15 times 4. So the difference is on this one we have a multiplication symbol. This one we do not, but it would look the same if we didn't. You would just have to keep the parentheses. 15 times 4, a number next to a number in parentheses is multiplication, and a number with a multiplication symbol is multiplication, obviously. All right, so we did the parentheses. Now let's look at multiplication and division from left to right. So do we have any multiplication and division on this left side? Yes, we do. So we're going to keep the 3 plus. We're not doing that yet because we're not at our addition and subtraction step. 12 times 4 is 48. So we've basically taken 12 times 4 and simplified that to 48. All right. On this side, we do have multiplication. It's 15 times 4. So I'm going to do the math to the side. Remember, it's going to end in a 0 or 5 since it's a 5. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So our answer on this side is 60. We're done with our right side because there's no other operations to do. All right, on our left side, we still have to add and subtract. 3 plus 48, 48, 49, 50, 51. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at how are these expressions the same? They're using the exact same numbers, right? But what's different about them? They put a grouping symbol around 3 plus 12 on this side, so we had to do 3 plus 12 as our first step on this side. On the left side, our first step was 12 times 4 because there were no grouping symbols, and we have to multiply from left to right. All right, so you can have the same exact numbers, the same exact operation symbols, but a set of parentheses tells us that we have to do something first. So that's what happened on this side. We had to do 3 plus 12 first, where on this side, we did not do 3 plus 12 first because our first step would have been multiply and divide. So let's take a look at your assignment. We'll wait for the assignment to load. This is the loading music. Load, load, load. Loading assignment. Load, load, load. I'm singing a song that's terrible. Your ears are sad. It is okay. It's almost over because it is going to load. I think. All right, here we go. All right, we got it at decimals. It looks like we are doing that thing where we're picking which expression or which word expression matches our numerical expression. All right, so which one of these makes sense with this? And then it looks like we're also going to be solving them just like yesterday. So the only thing different about today than yesterday is it looks like they're giving us fractions, and it looks like they're giving us decimals to practice with. All right, so we're going to be practicing some decimal multiplication. And it looks like we're also going to be practicing some addition and subtraction of fractions. Okay, so let's take a look at this one first. So which one of these makes the most sense? 8 minus, okay, 8 minus the sum of, all right, so we're going to be adding something, the sum of 3 and 2/10. Okay, 3 and 2/10. So far, so good. And 2, okay, then multiplied by 1 and 4/10. All right, that sounds a little confusing right now. So let's go ahead and read both of them and see which one makes more sense. 8 minus, okay, so far so good. The sum of 3 and 2/10, okay, and the product, okay, of 2 and 1 and 4/10. See, the thing is, these sound so similar, but this one says we're going to take the sum of 3 and 2/10 and 2, and then we're going to multiply it times 1 and 4/10. On this side, they're saying that we are going to take the sum of 3 and 2/10 and the product of 2 and 1 and 4/10. All right, so this side, I know it's a really, really small difference, but this side, it sounds like what they were saying is you would add these two things first and then multiply it by this. Where on this side, it's saying that you're going to add this to whatever the product of these two things are. So think for a second, with brackets and with parentheses, with multiplication, let me go ahead and write our steps out again. BPMA, right? Which thing are we going to have to do first? Are we going to have to multiply these two things first? Yeah. We have to multiply these two, the 2 times 1 and 4/10, the product of 2 and 1 and 4/10, before we're going to add it to 3 and 2/10. So we're not going to take 3 and 2/10 and add it to 2 and then multiply it times 1 and 4/10, because that would put addition and subtraction before multiplication. We have to multiply 2 times 1 and 4/10 before we can add it to 3 and 2/10, because multiplication and division happens before addition and subtraction. All right, so when we pick which one, it's a slight difference, but the one on the right shows us that we need to add to the product of these two things. So that means we're multiplying these things first instead of multiplying it at the end. All right, second page. So we have 1/2 plus 3/4 minus 3/8. So let's see, subtract 3/8 from the sum of 1/2 and 3/4. So that sounds like they're saying we would subtract 3/8 from the sum of these two things. And that's not what it looks like. It looks like we're subtracting 3/8 from 3/4 and then adding it to 1/2. And the reason why we'd subtract them first is because they're in the parentheses. So whatever's in parentheses has to be done first. So let's see, 1/2 added to the difference, that sounds like subtraction, of 3/4 and 3/8. So we would find the difference of 3/4 and 3/8 and then add it to 1/2. So this one sounds like our winner. All right. Once again, subtract 3/8 from the sum of 1/2. Remember, the sum of 1/2 and 3/4 would be adding those two things first and then taking away that. But we're subtracting these two first and then adding the 1/2. All right. Next one. So we have decimals once again. We have multiplication represented without a multiplication sign over here. We have parentheses, so whatever happens in parentheses has to happen first. So it looks like we're going to find the difference of 4 and 25/100 and 1 and 75/100 and multiply it by 2. So we're looking for something like 2 multiplied by the difference of something. Okay, so 2 times the difference between 4 and 25/100 and 1 and 75/100. All right, so far so good. Added to 3 and 75/100. Okay, that sounds about right. And then the difference of 2 times 4 and 25/100. Okay, so that's where we're already kind of in a weird place. They're saying the difference of 2 times 4 and 25/100 and the sum of 1 and 75/100 and 3 and 75/100. So on this one, on the right side, it sounds like they were basically putting parentheses around, oops, oh no, the things I do when I mess up. All right, there we go. It sounds like originally they were saying like on this side, you're adding these two things together and you're subtracting it from those two things multiplied. But the grouping symbols would be in the wrong place if we're finding the sum of 1 and 75 hundredths and 3 and 75 hundredths before, right? Because we have to multiply, we have to also do what's in parentheses before we ever get to this addition problem. All right, so the proper description is on the left. And now it is time to solve these problems. All right, so let's go ahead and solve these. I'm going to solve them in the snow cone. Okay, so I'm going to use BPMA. I guess I can. All right, so first things first, we have to look inside our brackets. Put your bracket goggles on. Inside my brackets, I do have parentheses as multiplication. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply 2. Oops, I don't need a decimal point right there. No, I went back too far. Don't judge me. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so 2. The 2 is still there. Here we go. We'll make it a big 2. Okay, so we're going to multiply 2 and 1 4/10. Remember, when you're multiplying, you don't need to add decimal or anything. You just count it at the end. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. I have 1 decimal place. I'm going to have 1 decimal place in my answer. So now we're looking at 2 and 8/10. So as you can see, my first step was multiplying 2 times 1 4/10, because not only is it in the brackets, but it's also multiplication and division before we can add and subtract, right? So my next step is still in brackets, 3 and 2/10 plus 2 and 8/10. And as you can see, I can just do my math to the side. Remember that when you're adding decimals, that you drop the decimal point like it's hot. So we now have 8 minus 6. And as you can see, I took off the 0 because if you have a decimal point and a 0, you can keep that 0 or take it off, but I think it's easier to see 8 minus 6 than 8 minus 6 and 0/10. And then finally, your answer to 8 minus 6, I want you to figure that one out yourself, and then put the check on whether it is 2 or whether it is 4. 8 minus 6 is one of these answers. You got it. You can do this. All right. Next one. So we have 1/2 plus 3/4 minus 3/8. Once again, we have to do the part in parentheses first because that is what is our order. I don't even think that sentence was grammatically correct, but that's our order, right? So the first thing we have to do is 3/4 minus 3/8. 3/4 minus 3/8 because it's in parentheses. All right, my denominators are not the same. Can I turn one into the other? Yeah, I can turn a 4 into an 8 using multiplication. So I'm going to build a snowman on the side that I am changing. I can change a 4 into 8 by multiplying by 2. So I'm going to fill my snowman both top and bottom with 2. So I'm going to rewrite this fraction. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. So now I have 6/8 minus 3/8, which gives me 3/8. So now I have 1/2 plus 3/8. I can get rid of the parentheses because I do have this plus sign right here. So now we're looking at 1/2 plus 3/8. Quick tip for 1/2. Remember, if we're trying to turn 1/2 into something else, all we need to do is make the denominator the same, and then your numerator is half of the denominator. All right, so if I change this 2 to an 8, what's half of 8? 4, right? Of course, you could do this the way that we've learned in class. It's the same thing. We're just going to multiply this side by 4, which gives us 4/8 plus 3/8. All right, so 1/2 plus 3/8 is the same thing as 4/8 plus 3/8. So we can even change it. It's getting a little sloppy, but we'll be all right. 4/8 plus 3/8, right? And then 4/8 plus 3/8 is, of course, oh, let me leave that to you. um, there's definitely not part of your answer. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, rewind the video a little bit. You'll see the answer. I'm messing up all over the place. How did I get this far back? I'm sad. It's erased all my work. I wish I could undo my undo. Okay, anyway, so when we got to the end of this one, it was, I'm so sorry, 1/2 plus 3/8. We did 4/8 plus 3/8. So the answer would have been what? 4 plus 3 equals 5 or 7. You can figure it out. You got this. All right. Last one. I know I'm giving y'all so much to do. I'm the most evil ogre of all time. Get out of my swamp. Okay. This last one. Once again, we're gonna use BPMA. Boo, 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 boo. Brackets, parentheses, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. All right. So the first thing we need to do, put on our bracket goggles. I see nothing. Take them off. Eat them away. Put on your parentheses goggles. Okay, I see some subtraction. I have 4 and 25 hundredths minus 1 and 75 hundredths. All right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to subtract 5 minus 5 is 0. I've got to borrow over here. 12 minus 7 is 5. 3 minus 1 is 2, and drop it like it's hot. Our decimal point moves down. So now we have 2 times 2 and 50 hundredths plus 3 and 75 hundredths. And as, oh, that's the wrong number. Don't mind me and my writing the wrong number. Okay, so as you can see, the 2 got copied down because we didn't use it. We found the difference between 4 and 25 hundredths and 1 and 75 hundredths, and we brought that down too. There's no operation symbol between them, so I kept my parentheses so I remember that it's multiplication. And then I copied down the plus, and I copied down 375. So the next step, I have a multiplication problem. I also have an addition problem. I'm going to do the multiplication problem first. So 2 times $2.50. That's the way I like to look at it because I like to think about money. If you have $2.50 and someone gives you $2.50, you now have how much? Did you say $5? You are correct. So 2 times 2 and 50 hundredths is 5. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. 2 decimal places. And since the decimals are both zeros, I can take them off. So now I just have 5 plus 375. I guess when I do this math, I might want to put the decimals back on. But just pretend you have $5 and you're adding $3.75. Maybe you could do it in your head when you start to think about money. If not, emoji zeros could be your friend. And then we figure, I did the, dang it. That's not the, you can, yeah, see, yeah, figure it out yourself. You got this. 5 plus 3 and 75 cents. So yeah, select the best answer, from 5 plus 3 and 75 hundredths. And then you will be done with your problem, and you will be done with this sheet, and then you can go on to your quiz today. So, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, 6 activities. 6 sheets. So remember, the first 3 are just choosing whatever the correct answer or whatever the best explanation in words was for the expression. The second part is just completing those expressions, just like yesterday. Your quiz today will be basically, it's going to be a short one, but use your order of operations to help you. This is your second order of operations quiz in 2 days, so really you should be on top of this at this point, and it's exactly like the ones we did in class. All right, so basically you're going to do some decimal operations. Both of these have decimals. There's no fraction ones. So just follow your order of operations. Remember that when you have numbers next to numbers with no operation symbol, that means multiply. So this is kind of interesting. You have 2 different multiplication problems in this one without a multiplication sign. All right, over here you have 2 multiplication problems in this problem without a multiplication sign. All right, so anyway, that should help you out. Talk to your teachers if you have any questions. I hope that you have a wonderful day and an absolutely fantastic weekend. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I will see y'all later. Bye.